Good morning. It is Wednesday, May the 6th, and I'm coming to you with the Tuesday, May the 5th bell ringer answer. You had a couple of different bell ringer items this time. The first one dealt with a map of Africa talking about language, and it says, explain how the legacy of colonialism and imperialism has impacted current cultural patterns in language in Africa at a national scale of analysis. National scale of analysis means that we're looking across the entire country. We're not looking at subregions within the country. We are not looking at counties. We're not looking at states or districts. We're looking at the whole country. Note that each color represents a different colonial language. All right, so what we're really trying to get you to understand here is that colonialism's had a lasting impact on the cultural landscape for a group of people. All other things being equal, Africa would not be a place where we would expect to find Indo-European languages. And so the map is showing you the dominance of Indo-European languages as well as some other languages. So colonialism and imperialism have impacted things. Now, one of the things you want to remember is that Northern Africa has the dominant language tends to be Arabic. Okay, now that is not the product of colonialism. However, there are other languages spoken throughout Northern Africa. But if you look at the entirety of Northern Africa as a whole, there's no one single colonial power that's been involved in that particular region. So we would identify that as an impact of a language moving in even before the colonial era. So the red stuff, that refers to Arabic. Now, the greens, the yellows, the blues, we're talking about English, French, we're talking about some German in some places. We're talking about the language of colonial powers. And in some cases, that language has become the official language of a country. Despite the fact that colonialism has come to an end, some of those countries have found that it is easier to choose the language of their former colonizer as an official language or common language to use throughout the country because there's so much tribalism and so many different languages spoken traditionally. And rather than favoring one of those over another, they've chosen to go with a language like English or French as an official language within that country. Now that means that you're talking about an official language that is not something associated with your long-standing history and is associated with the negativity of a colonial past. So, all right. This also matches up the language with the boundaries of a colonial creation. The states of Africa, many of them, their boundaries do not match up with long-standing African national identity. They match up with colonial creations out of the Berlin Conference when Europeans decided how to divide up Africa. So it's this language goes with boundary idea, but all through colonialism. All right. Now, the second question asks you about migration and asks you about a question from the 2009 AP exam where you were given 3 different language regions, and hopefully you quickly identified that Z, the lightest color, is the Baptist Church, X, the darkest color, is the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints or Mormonism, and in the northern Great Plains, that would be Y, that is Lutheranism. And what we're asking you about here is how culture has come to an area in the form of religion by migration. So I'm going to kind of go in reverse order. The Lutherans of the Northern Great Plains, those are Northern Europeans who moved to the Northern Great Plains because those were the farming lands that were available when they moved to the country. So that was empty space for settlement. When they arrived, they were the first group to arrive there in large numbers. They chose the Northern Great Plains because 1, it was available, and 2, ethnic island, meaning that the area reminded them in some way of the place that they came from, Northern Great Plains and Northern Europe, similar climates, similar agricultural techniques. And so they settled in that area. And then, this is really important, no other group moved into that area. Think about what you learn in U.S. history. You never learn about anybody in the Northern Great Plains after you learn about its settlement. Okay, then we have the Mormons out in Utah and some surrounding areas. Again, from Europe, migrating to the eastern United States, migrating westward all across the U.S., each time finding areas that already had people who already had established dominant religions, and they were the minority oppressed religion until they got to Utah. And when they arrive in Utah, they find a place where nobody oppresses them. They become the dominant group because there was no one else there. And then, just like with the Lutherans, no other group moves to that region in any significant numbers. And they develop that as a stronghold for their particular religion. Now, there is a significant difference here. Mormonism then created as its hearth the area of Salt Lake City. It became the focal point. That's not what happened with the Lutherans. They did not make the Northern Great Plains the focus of all Lutheranism for the entire world. Okay, and then we have the most unique group. In the southern portion of the United States, southeastern portion, you have the Baptist Church. Did not migrate there from someplace else. Those are migrants from all over Europe who were Protestants, and they eventually created their own unique form of Protestantism in the South. So it was invented in the South. Okay? And so it was created there, its hearth developed there, and then importantly, once the Baptist Church takes root in the South, no other significant migrations ever come into the South. This idea of no other sequent occupants occurring is very important for how a group maintains its cultural hold. This would be different than what you might study if we were looking at Harlem, for example, a neighborhood that started off as a Jewish neighborhood, and then through sequent occupants, you had African Americans moving to Harlem, and then today you have Puerto Ricans moving to Harlem, Spanish Harlem. So that's changing that neighborhood. That neighborhood is not remaining a stronghold for one particular group. In the map that we're looking at here, these areas of the United States are remaining strongholds for a particular group because no one else moves in. Okay. So hopefully that helps you out with that bell ringer question. Beginning today, I'm going to start adding material to the White AP exam folder. That's the folder I created for materials to help you get ready for the actual exam itself. Not reviewing content, but actually preparing for the exam. One of the things that's going to be in there is a demo for how to log in, what the exam looks like, how to upload your answers. You need to do that demo in the next day or two to get you comfortable with what that real quick 45 minutes worth of questions is going to be like. So some of you had some questions at the Google Meet about, how does the uploading work, how much time. That will answer those questions for you. So please go take a look at those and look at some of the other things that I'm adding in there as well. I'm also going to begin adding links to some YouTube videos that are coming out this week from the College Board. They're hour-long lessons on reviewing for the AP exam. You're not required to do them, but they are there for you. I do believe that they would help you. And so I encourage you to go check those out. Okay, have a good day. Stay safe.